Hey, what's up guys? So I want to go ahead and give you a quick update, kind of post-SEMA stuff with Whistler, Escort, and Cobra. I didn't actually do video interviews with them, and so in this video I kind of want to share a little bit about what I talked about with them, what I learned, and just kind of some fun stuff to come. So as you guys know, I did interview Redenso and No Photo, and those videos are already up online. With Whistler, that was actually really interesting. Michael Batten was there. You guys on the forums know him as Mike B. He's actually the guy who makes all of Whistler's products, and really smart guy, really cool to talk to. We talked for a good hour or so, and I really enjoyed the conversation. We talked about all sorts of cool things, everything from the performance of his current detectors, the differences and why the different detectors have different levels of performance, the remotes, some of the new detectors that he's come out with, the Elite series, all this kind of stuff. We talked about, in my testing, I found his, I think I tested the CR85, and the performance was not really up to par, which was a little uncomfortable for me to talk about because I don't like saying, hey, your product didn't do so well, you know? So I asked him about it, and I was like, hey, I'm curious. It was only one detector that we tested. I wondered maybe if sample variation had anything to come into play. So that detector we're actually going to be sending back to him to take a look at, and we're going to be getting another Whistler to test, the CR93, which is their newest detector. That one's actually really interesting. It's got a new blind spot filter. He's calling it FDSR, I believe, like Field Detector Sensor Rejection, something like that, disturbance. Whatever it stands for, I'll put it down below. Anyways, the idea with this one is it can uniquely tell the difference between a blind spot false and a legitimate alert, and either notify you to the presence of those and say, hey, you're detecting a blind spot false. That may make it tougher to actually detect a legitimate signal right now, and so it's for that reason you need to be aware of that. Or it can just go ahead and filter that signal out. Something that was interesting was he said it can actually filter out Acuras and GMs. I asked about those specifically, and I'm really curious to see how well it works. So he's going to be sending me a new Whistler detector, and I'm actually really curious to test it out, see how well it works in terms of performance, blind spot filtering, all that kind of stuff. We talked about a lot of stuff, everything from scanners to detectors, all that kind of thing. I typed up my notes from our discussion and posted it on RDF, so if you want to see all the cool stuff that I talked with Mike B about with Whistler, take a look down at the link in the video description. The reason with Mike that we didn't do a video interview was just that I asked about it, and he said he doesn't actually feel that comfortable on camera, which I totally understand, So that was the reason why we just talked in person, and then afterwards I sat down, and while it was still fresh in my memory, I typed up all my notes, so that'll be down in the video description. I also stopped by the Escort and Cobra booth. That was really interesting as well. With Escort, they don't have any new products to announce. Right now, it's all the same detectors. They've got, the Max 360. They had the wireless Solo S3. The new Escort IX. A lot of you guys have been asking me about that. The 9500 CI. Basically, nothing new that we haven't already seen and talked about. And so, as far as doing an interview with them, there wasn't really anything for me to share with you guys that you guys don't already know. And kind of what I'm curious about is, I want to share something with you guys that hasn't really been shared yet. Something new and interesting to kind of keep things fresh, right? And what I'm curious about with Escort is actually a couple of things. And the plan was I actually talked with Aaron at Escort, another cool guy, and I emailed him a whole list of questions. And the plan with Escort is they're going to take a look over the questions that I sent him and kind of make sure that what we talk about doesn't actually spill the beans on any upcoming products, which they're going to be releasing next year. And kind of the things that I have in mind, there's things like, again, the questions are a little atypical. It's kind of like, okay, well, Escort and Cobra, now they've actually been they've come together. They've been bought out by Monomoy, which is an investment company, and those companies have been kind of put together under a holding company called Cedar. Long story short, now that the companies are working together, I'm curious about what kind of benefits we'll expect to see. For example, Cobras have been notorious for leaking, right? Causing false alerts for other detectors nearby. Is Cobra going to be getting any of Escort's technology to help deal with that and improve the quality of Cobra's detectors? I really hope so. What kind of benefits are we going to see with Escort's products? Like, for example, Escort Live and Cobra's version of Escort Live called iRadar, they both have the real-time kind of cloud alerts from your detector. That kind of stuff is going to be coming together, so they'll be able to get, they'll be sharing information, so Escort Live users will see information from Cobra's iRadar and vice versa. I asked about things like, I actually like Escort Live a little bit better in the sense that when you get a K-band alert, it'll actually ask you, hey, is this a legitimate alert or a false alert, right? If it's false and it's a stationary one, you can lock it out. If it's a legitimate one, it reports it to the cloud. With Cobra, every single K-band alert, it reports to the cloud, true or false or whatever. You can't even prevent it. So what happens is, with Cobra's version of Escort Live, iRadar, you get a ton of false alerts, so I find it less useful in that sense. So I'm curious about kind of the improvements and what's going to happen as they come together, right? I'm curious about things like the new Escort IX. I honestly don't really see the point of that detector. It's definitely a nice upgrade to the 9500 IX. It's a more modernized version, better performance, better blind spot filtering, better display, cool new mount, all that kind of stuff. The reason I say it doesn't make much sense is Escort also makes the Max 2, which has literally all the same features with the exception of the trick new magnetic mount. They did have an IX there, so I had a chance to play with the new magnetic mount. But the Max 2 has literally all the same features, better performance, better filtering, and costs less money. So I don't see any reason of why the IX makes sense. And the MSRP on the Max 2 is more. Okay, on Amazon it's $300 something. Right now the IX is closer to $500. Okay, prices will change over time, I get that. But right now, I'm curious what would be the reason why somebody should purchase an IX. I'm curious about things like what's going to happen with Beltronics. You know, is that going to be phased out over time? Because Escort and Beltronics kind of make the same detector. So I'm curious about these sorts of things. And kind of the plan right now is I send them a whole list of questions, and they're going to be taking a look over it, and we'll actually do a video interview over Skype or something. I'll record the Skype interview with Escort and then share that here with you guys once it's done. I don't know time frame, when that's going to happen, even if it'll be happen, but that was kind of the idea that I talked about when I was there. With Cobra, I had a chance to take a look at some of their stuff. The main thing that they were showing off with Cobra was actually their dash cams. Cobra is actually coming out with a line of dash cams. So as you guys know, there's Escort, Cobra, and Wasp. Both Cobra and Wasp do cameras. I didn't know about this. And the difference is, kind of what I'd learned was, Wasp does your action cams. Think your GoPro competitors, right? Cobra is going to be doing your dash cams. Think your, in-car, always-on driving cameras, right? Action cams versus dash cams. Cobra, as you guys know, they do radar detectors and scanners and CBs and battery packs and dash cams. They do a bunch of stuff, whereas Escort's a little bit more specialized, and Wasp does the action cam. So anyways, had a chance to talk about that kind of stuff. And so that's why I don't have a video yet for Escort, is because, well, we're kind of planning on doing one down the line. So fingers crossed, I hope that happens. That would be pretty cool to have a chance to talk about. So anyways, that's the latest as far as kind of post-SEMA stuff. I've got mostly dash cam stuff to share with you guys. I'm working on that. I'm pretty much at this point for most of those, I'm waiting on, number one, sample footage from the different companies. Like if we're talking about a feature or the video quality, I want to get some sample footage. So I'm waiting on those companies now that they're all back from SEMA 2 to actually send me some sample footage that I can overlay on the video footage and share with you guys as we're talking about the cameras. So I'm working primarily on the dash cam stuff right now, but this is kind of the latest updates on the radar detector side. So Whistler, link down in the video description to see more about that. Escort stuff to come. Cobra, not too much. I did actually take a look at the dash cams with Cobra. It was pretty interesting. Nothing really revolutionary in that regard, but Cobra's doing dash cams too. So anyways, just wanted to give you guys a quick update on stuff post-SEMA. Yeah, actually really fun. I enjoyed the show. There's a bunch of crazy, wild, ridiculous cars, and I went drifting for the first time. That was actually a ton of fun.
So cool.
So much crazy cool stuff there. I enjoyed it a lot. Walked a ton. It's a huge show. But anyways, that's kind of the update post-SEMA with the radar detector stuff. So more to come as always. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.